So, Marvel's What If? Who wants to chime in first with their spoiler-free thoughts?
I'm kind of ready. I actually watched it.
Hit it, buddy. You're warm from your hosting of
Wes
your segment.
has thoughts.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little good. So I watched all three of them in a row because I hadn't watched any of them. And the first one was incredibly boring. Like you guys had said, it was pretty much just the same exact thing, just with Captain Carter instead of Captain America. And I was like, wow, that's weird. I did really enjoy that it's a cartoon and they just murdered people. I was like, wow, this is a murderous cartoon. I'm like, this is just tanks blowing up. I'm like, those people are dead as shit. I did like that. That definitely got to me. I watched the second one. I thought that was very well done. I did enjoy all the genocide references. That always gets me going. And then I watched the what if there was a serial killer taking out all of the Marvel Avengers, and I watched it and I was like, huh, that's an interesting take. I thought it was a little far-fetched. I thought it was a little excessive, but by the end of it, I was like, huh, that okay. I was like, that's kind of legitimate. I again would rank the second one as the best one. I think this falls in between 1 and 2. It was definitely better than the first one, but the second one's still better. They don't really seem to tie together, which I know we talked about last week, if they were going to all kind of tie together. I haven't really seen that yet, but maybe we will. But it wasn't terrible. It was a little bit too far-fetched for me, but the Nick Fury shit was cool. That was nice.
What do you mean by far-fetched? I'm curious what you mean by that.
He evolves into Sirfetch'd in Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Yeah, he's got the stick, like the little stick he carries around.
It's actually a leak, Wes.
Oh, Aaron! You know what? 10 points to Aaron. We're back to around the horn.
OG 150.
So, I am in agreement with your rankings, Wes. Thank you. It was fine. I'm a little worried in that they're setting up these what ifs, and I'm just like, yeah, but I want to hear the whole rest of the story in this universe, and I feel like I'm just edging and never gonna finish with that.
I'm like, okay, so like we do this whole thing where there is the serial killer and you lose a bunch of people, and then okay, what happens? They show like that. They give you like that little teaser at the end, and I was like, okay, and then what? And it's like, well, it's me, and that's it. Welcome back to What If. Good night.
It'd be cool if in season 2 it's just a continuation of all the season 1 episodes.
Absolutely. Yeah. It depends on how they go with it, but yeah, I definitely can agree with that, because I was like, okay, so you're gonna do all this, and then what are we done with spoilers? Can I like go into it? Or?
No, Aaron and Marty haven't gone yet. So Aaron, Marty.
Yeah, I like the second one more. I would agree with that. This one though, I thought was good. I think, again, spoiler free, the sort of ultimate culprit and stuff was kind of interesting. Like I think the never mind.
The Aunt May killed them all.
Aunt May from Spider-Man.
She goes into they had the picnic. They had the picnic, and the ants got all over the blanket in the episode.
She goes into her special shed, and they get the weapons to murder all the Avengers.
I'm impressed they got Marissa Tomei to voice Aunt May in this.
I know. They actually, I do appreciate that they've gotten most of the voices, like the original voice actors, to do, which I think
Johansson.
I think Tony Stark wasn't Downey, but they're like most of the others. I think they got them. I like this. I 100% agree with you guys that I wish these were an hour and their pacing was better. Because whatever, even if there's 10 episodes, you can't tell me that they couldn't have, because really the episodes are like 20 to 25 minutes. Give me like a 45-minute, like flesh that story out a little more. Let me see more like, Black Panther, Star-Lord, and, get into like the mystery of, in this episode, a little bit of, because I did like, I like this idea for sort of like a Marvel, like it's an interesting take on Marvel stuff, because Marvel doesn't go with the genre of thriller or sort of mystery like it is in this, but definitely stretch it out. I'd like to see more.
Maybe tell a story over like 2 episodes or something,
Sure.
Marty.
I'm entertained, but I don't know. It doesn't connect to anything. Oh, I'm intrigued by what you see, like the Watcher just in the background in some of the shots.
See Daryl shirtless in the
I
background.
appreciate that.
Daryl is
I
the
like that.
Watcher.
Daryl's watching. He's standing.
He watches, but he cannot interfere.
Yeah,
He looks just like Jeffrey Wright.
He does look like Jeffrey Wright.
floating in a balloon.
Are you saying that Daryl likes to watch?
He only likes to watch.
Sometimes dressed as Superman.
Action.
Is the
like,
Watcher
I just like to watch.
is the Watcher like the ultimate cuck? Like, is he?
That's the title of our podcast.
The ultimate cook. Just call it that. No other reference.
He can only watch and gets all of his. Yeah, he gets all of his
He's
pleasure
like, I
from just
don't
watching.
I don't even want to interfere. I don't even want to touch myself. I'm like, wait, what? He's like, huh?
Yeah, he's just floating there in the background.
Sorry, Marty. Did you finish your spoiler-free thoughts, or
That was my spoiler 3. That was pretty much it.
All right.
so? Avengers 1 or the end of one of the Iron Man movies. I don't quite remember.
It's Iron Man. Yeah,
Okay, so we have
sitting in the donut.
Nick Fury recruiting Iron Man, and Black Widow accidentally kills him with the injection that originally was helping his hangover or lead poisoning.
I thought that was odd. She's just like, here, let me help you out and inject this thing into your neck.
I'm pretty sure that happens in whatever movie this is from.
I think
you're right. I just think it's
because
funny.
I think that's one of the selling points is that he's like, I feel like shit, I'm gonna die, and they're like, yeah, we got some pretty cool shit over at Avengers headquarters. You can get as drunk as you want. You can eat as much lead as you want. We'll save your life. And he's like, fuck, I'll join. And instead she's like, murder. And he's like, I'm dead.
But yeah, Black Widow kills him. It was fun start to the episode. I didn't know.
Yeah, I was like, that's not good.
You click on the title and it's what if the world lost its mightiest heroes, and you figure they die in some sort of big battle or something. Not like.
Well, if you read the thing, it said, well, I don't know about what, I don't know. Like when I read it, it said like, what if a serial killer took out all of the Avengers? And I was like, ooh, this will be fun.
I did not.
I was like, I love cereal.
Cool.
But
yeah,
what's kind of interesting to me
I love cereal.
As this plays out is like how successful the serial killer is. Like, think about how many people over the years have fought the Avengers and like lost, who were super powerful, beings and like, these sort of gods and whatever that lose. And like this, particular individual who is trying to take out the Avengers is pretty successful.
Who has
actually,
a son, who has a nephew who has 8 legs.
Yeah. Aunt May, since like that's my far-fetched idea where I was like, it was a little far-fetched. It's Aunt May was able to just kill like a bunch of Avengers just being Aunt May. I was like, yeah, I don't know about all that. That was the part that I thought was a little bit far-fetched.
Yeah, the bit of her talking about Peter being obsessed with shooting his web all the time. Like,
his Peter tingles.
Yeah. His hands are so sticky he can cling to walls. Like, that's not normal.
So I'm gonna try to get to the point where you all want to talk about as quickly as possible. So we go through and
okay, we have time.
And we basically just see our serial killer take out all these Avengers. So before Thor picks up the hammer, Hawkeye accidentally slips and kills him with an arrow. I guess a god could be killed with an arrow.
Do you think that would work? That's what I'm saying. Do you think
that was odd to me?
I saw that, and I was like, okay, so like he lets go and like fires the arrow, and I was like, when I'm watching it live, I was like, oh, somebody else shot an arrow from behind him or some shit, and I'm like, but would the arrow really kill Thor?
Vibranium arrows? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe if it was vibranium.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know the rules. And like, do you think that he has the vibranium? Do you think he has the vibranium arrow like locked in? Like, I'm like, he doesn't know he's a god. He's just like some dude that's dicking around. Like, I don't think that he would have used one of his very expensive god arrows. First shot, I would have been like, let me use this wooden arrow, and if it doesn't work, I'll use something a little stronger. Like, I wouldn't be like, let me pull out the heavy guns first shot. Like, nah, dude. I'm trying to save money.
He's shooting to
Avengers
kill.
are frugal, if nothing else.
Yeah,
Frugal, if nothing
exactly.
else. Classic Avengers. Continue.
It's like Thanos could have taken notes on this. He'd freaking run the world in no time.
For sure. So
Absolutely.
let's see. So Black Widow, being framed for murdering Tony Stark, escapes and goes to find Bruce Banner. He turns into Hulk and he gets inflated and pops like a balloon. So anyway, Loki shows up to avenge Thor.
That was cool.
Yeah, Nick Fury's
cool.
like, hey,
that.
what if I get your killer? Will you not rule Earth? He's like, yeah, sure, that sounds like a good deal. So Natasha, Black Widow, gets beaten up by something that's invisible. I was surprised by who it
Harry
was.
Potter.
I didn't even consider it.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
I thought it was Harry
in
Potter.
his cloak.
It's John Cena.
And leaves Nick Fury a message. It's all about hope.
Well, I was skeptical. I was like, what the fuck is going on until the fight with Natasha, where like I'm like, she's clearly fighting someone very small. So I'm like, unless it's Ant-Man, it's probably like, it's got to be some like him, like whoever the fuck. I didn't think.
You could spoil it.
It was Sandman.
I should have figured it out.
It's Mayman. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, it's a ghost. I did not figure it out till the very end. I was like,
I'm with Wes.
she's fighting a ghost.
Well, no, and I didn't know who it was, but I was like, oh, it's some Pym related. Like, it's got to be.
Those are Pym particles if I've ever seen them.
No, once they showed the ending of it, I was like, oh, because I was like, oh my god, there's ghosts. There's so many ghosts in the universe.
Yeah.
Scooby shows up and is like,
They kept running back and forth through the doors in a hallway full of doors. They were chasing each other.
They ran into each other. Scooby ended up in Hank Pym's arms.
Yeah, exactly. As they were sliding down a banister.
Yeah,
Nick Fury considers paging Captain Marvel at this point, but he decides, let me team up with Loki. It was Hank Pym all along. And Michael Douglas shows up and is like, I'm mad at S.H.I.E.L.D., so I killed everybody.
You're a bunch of jerks. Yeah, it was over the top reaction on his part.
Yeah, I was
Poor
like,
character development.
That's rough. But again, like my whole thing of it being so unrealistic is that that's all you need to do to take out pretty much the entire core of the Avengers was just be Ant-Man. Like if they were like, hey, you goofy ass motherfucker. And he's like, I'm Ant-Man, like whatever, bro. They're like, yeah, we're gonna use your shit so I can kill all the Avengers. He's like, okie dokie, monster man. And just Thanos takes that shit and ends up being Ant-Man. Like that's the end of the entire. The Avengers are toast, man.
I mean,
like how
honestly,
easy was it?
When you think about it, Ant-Man is technically the reason they beat Thanos. In reality, like him being able
when he
to
climbed
go
up his butt.
Yeah, and then he grew big.
Yeah.
Like, what if Ant-Man entered Thanos' ass and then grew tall?
What if Ant-Man anally attacked Thanos and
then he wore Thanos as a skin
I
suit?
saw that.
Nick Fury wasn't Nick Fury. It was Loki who beats up Hank Pym. And then Loki.
I have a comment on that. Obviously, it was Loki. Like,
yeah,
you saw
I figured that out very
with
quickly.
Nick Fury, and you're like, "There's no way that."
Well,
Nick
so
Fury can...
actually, Nick Fury is I don't know if like canonically in the Marvel universe he is, but he is, or at some point gets injected. I think like by the time he's the Nick Fury that you know him, with the super soldier serum, same as Cap. I don't know. I don't think it's as much or whatever. It's like, oh, here's a little like
he microdoses.
Sure. Yes. So
Microdose
he has
Marty.
some like he has like some fuck you abilities for sure, but he's not. I don't think he's a legitimate superhero, but he's not just like some guy. The eye patch.
So
he's just a random pirate.
Loki decides he's going to conquer Midgard or Earth, and Nick Fury pages Captain Marvel, and kind of left on a cliffhanger. It makes me think there might be a sequel to this episode at some point. that ends Marvel's What If we could have afforded Michael Douglas in Phase 1.
Taking out everything.
I like Avengers 1 better.
Any final thoughts on episode 3 of What If?
I thought it was all just like, like they just developed this quick, rushed reason why Michael Douglas was so pissed. I was a fan. I liked that it was him. Like I didn't mind. Cool. Ant-Man's like a badass bitch. Like that's kind of cool. But yeah, it was just the reasoning for it. Come on,
Ant guy.
People. All those Avengers probably had like 10 times more reason.
It is Yellow
to take
Jacket.
down Shield.
He's in the Yellow Jacket suit, but
yeah.
It's got like a stinger thing.
Shut up, Aaron, you nerd.
Like, why?
Sorry.
Yeah, you fucking loser. Why would he be such a little bitch about it? I think he just went over. It's so overboard.
It's the whole murdering because someone was murdered, which you're a complete hypocrite.
But like,
what are you doing?
Not even that. Like, just murdering everybody.
It's funny because even Nick Fury / Loki is like, but why'd you kill Thor? You know, he literally had nothing to do with this.
Like,
well, none of them do because they're not in Shield yet, technically. Or
yeah, you're right.
Them, but some of them not a part of the Avengers, at least.
He's like, okay, so you killed some like Avengers prospects, but you also killed this guy who had nothing to do with it. And he's like, yeah, but you would have been
same
like
with Hulk,
cool.
like Bruce.
Let's be friends with him. Yeah, like Bruce Banner's not part of the Avengers. He's just like he's just a dude in hiding, like covered in gamma radiation, and he's like, let me make him swell up like a fucking balloon.
Let me kill these guys so Shield doesn't get them killed.
But Thunderbolt Ross's daughter making an appearance. She's not in any of. She's in the original Hulk, but she's not in any other movie, right?
No,
I don't think so.
I thought that was interesting.
Wait.